White rarely gets creatures this powerful. Let Elish Norn work for you.
Welcome back, cloners, for another game of Free-for-All Commander. This time, for your viewing pleasure, we once again have Ronnie playing his powerful Hazezon Tamar deck at the bottom of your screen. Also returning, we have Josh at the top of your screen once again playing his Edric Spymaster of Trest deck. Josh's deck can steal games fairly easily if his opponents aren't careful. A new commander to the channel is Marlon playing his red artifact Pia and Kiran Nalaar deck. Oh, and one more thing. This gameplay is dedicated to one of our viewers, Mr. Clean465, who has been asking for weeks, and I quote, "More Zedruu." Finally, we have Tristan on the right playing Zedruu the Greathearted. This is his first game of it, so we'll see how it goes. Opening hands are as follows. Tristan, Mountain, Desolate Lighthouse, Island, Izzet Signet, Moordrifter, Swords to Plowshares. Josh, Coastal Piracy, Counterspell, Scolding Tarn, Temple of Mystery, Misty Rainforest, Cloud of Fairies, Force of Will. Ronnie, Sacred Foundry, Forest, Two Mountains, Temple Garden, Farseek, Return to Dust. Marlon, Three Mountains, Mox Opal, Lodestone Golem, Ore's Dust, Solemn Simulacrum. Turn 1. Josh starts the game by playing Temple of Mystery and uses it to scry 1. Tristan and Ronnie just play lands and Marlon casts a turn 1 Wayfarer's Bauble. Turn 2. Josh plays and breaks Polluted Delta and sacks it, paying a life to find and put Tropical Island on the battlefield. Josh plays Cloud of Fairies and untaps 2 lands. Tristan plays Reflecting Pool and casts Izzet Signet. Ronnie casts Farseek and finds his 3rd mana in Stomping Ground. Marlon casts Mox Opal, breaks his Bauble finding a land and passes. Turn 3. Josh plays Command Tower, casts Edric and attacks Tristan for 1 damage in the air. Josh draws a card and then passes. Looking for a white mana to protect him from Josh, Tristan draws and plays Boros Garrison and bounces Island. It'll have to do. Ronnie plays Plateau and passes. Marlon casts Palladium Mia on his turn. At the end of Marlon's turn, Tristan figures Josh has Counterspell backup in hand, so he Swords to Plowshares Edric before Josh can untap. Unfortunately for Tristan, Josh also had Force of Will backup in his hand as well. Josh exiles a blue card in hand and pays a life to save his commander. Turn 4. Josh plays a land and attacks Tristan for 3 with his 2 creatures and 2 commander damage, though it's not going to be relevant. What is relevant is the 2 cards that Josh draws. Josh then casts Kira Great Glass Spinner. Tristan casts Moordrifter on his draw and draws 2 cards. Ronnie just lands Temple Garden tapped on his turn. Ronnie is taking it easy this game. Marlon casts Solemn Simulacrum on his turn for further ramp and Lodestone Golem for reverse ramp for everyone else. Turn 5. On Josh's turn, he wants to attack Tristan, but can't due to Moordrifter. Josh attacks his flyers at Marlon and Edric at Ronnie so that he can draw 3 cards. Post-combat, Josh casts Soaring Wingcrafter, pairing it with Edric. On Tristan's turn, he holds Supreme Verdict in hand. He starts by attacking Marlon for 2 so that he can draw a card. He then casts Mind Stone and then casts the Supreme Verdict and pays an additional mana for the Lodestone Golem. Everyone but Ronnie loses creatures. On Ronnie's turn, he casts his first power spell of the night with Mana Reflection. Josh is ready with Arcane Denial since he knows what Ronnie's deck can do with that kind of mana. Ronnie's mostly okay with this since he will get to draw cards during Marlon's upkeep. On Marlon's turn, he casts Chandra's Parents, getting 2 Thopter tokens. Marlon equips his commander with Swiftfoot Boots and casts Mycosynth Wellspring to search up a mountain and add it to hand. Marlon then attacks Tristan for 2 commander damage. Again, it's not going to be relevant. Turn 6. Josh casts Consecrated Sphinx, which ends up having a big impact on the game. Tristan has no response on his upkeep, so Josh gets to draw 2 cards. Tristan has no other way of dealing with the Sphinx, so he instead casts his commander. This way it won't be at the top of the kill list as long as Josh's Sphinx is around. Josh draws another 2 cards on Ronnie's turn. Ronnie, who likes to have fun, casts Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, who is quite lethal. Marlon takes his turn and Josh draws another 2 cards. Marlon casts Chief of the Foundry on his turn. Since Josh is drawing cards like crazy, Marlon attacks him for 8 damage with his Thopters. Thinking Zedruu is a threat for some reason, Marlon sacks a Wellspring to find a basic land and kills Zedruu with the Nalaar's ability. Josh flashes in Script Ranger at the end of Marlon's turn. Turn 7. On Josh's turn, he casts Phyrexian Metamorph, paying 2 life to copy his Sphinx. Clone count 1. Now that Tristan is open, Josh attacks him for 10 damage with his creatures. Josh passes. Tristan draws and Josh draws 4 cards. Holding no board wipes in hand, but Angel of Serenity, Tristan is unable to cast it due to lack of white mana. Tristan instead casts Psychosis Crawler. Here is where the guys screw up. They all seemingly forget that Psychosis Crawler only affects the owner's opponents every time the owner draws, not when the opponents draw. Mistakenly thinking this is a threat, Josh wastes a Cyclonic Rift to return it to Tristan's hand. Ronnie draws on his turn, giving Josh 4 cards. Ronnie then attacks Josh for turn, but Josh has an answer with Rapid Hybridization, killing the Angel and giving the Lizard Frog or something. Ronnie attempts to reduce Josh's board state by casting Return to Dust on Josh's Metal Sphinx, and Soaring, but has no shortage of answers with Negate. Ronnie casts Outpost Siege and chooses Khans. He will be able to exile cards on his turn and potentially cast them. Marlon takes his turn with Josh drawing 4 cards yet again. Marlon comes to the rescue though when he casts Aura's Dust, almost entirely wiping the board. Josh is out of answers or mana, or both, because it resolves. Marlon then attacks Josh for 6 damage with all of his creatures. Turn 8. Josh tries to repopulate his board by casting Find Horn Elves, Zephyr Sprite, Fairy Imposter, returning the elves and recasting it. Josh casts Surveilling Sprite and then discards numerous cards at his end step. On Tristan's turn, he plays Desolate Lighthouse and replays Psychosis Crawler. It lands this time. Zedruu doesn't have much going on at the moment. On Ronnie's turn, he plays Gavany Township and finally casts Hazezon Tamar. It's going to make some warriors. On Marlon's turn, he plays Mountain, recasts his commander and casts Koth of the Hammer. Josh doesn't like that, so he pays a life with Misty Rainforest and then flashes and snapcasts a mage, and flashes back Negate, countering the Planeswalker. Mad at Josh, Marlon then attacks Josh for 4 with 2 of his Thopter tokens. Turn 9. Josh recasts his commander on his turn. Josh goes to combat and attacks Ronnie in the air for 4, since Ronnie is the only one who doesn't have flying blockers or propaganda. Josh draws 3 cards thanks to Edric. Josh casts Sakura Tribe Scout and Invisible Stalker. Tristan is concerned that Josh is about to take an extra turn, but luckily for the team, he doesn't have any in hand. That's pretty rare for an Edric deck. Tristan takes his turn and loses the guy's 1 life when he draws due to his crawler. Tristan recasts Zedruu on his turn and then casts Lightning Greaves and Greaves up his commander. On Ronnie's upkeep, he resolves the Hazezon trigger and gets 9 Sand Warriors. He then plays a very effective creature, Lovisa Cold Eyes, giving the Sand Warriors +2 and haste. Ronnie then goes to combat, deciding who to attack. Ronnie attacks Josh all out, with everyone but Hazezon. Staring at 27 damage, Josh blocks 4 of Ronnie's tokens. Before damage, Ronnie activates Gavany Township, giving all his guys +1 counters. In response, Josh casts Tangle, which is a sweet card, preventing all combat damage this turn. On Marlon's turn, he casts Wormcoil Engine and equips it. He attacks Wormcoil at Josh and 2 Thopters at Ronnie. Ronnie takes 4 damage with Marlon drawing 2 cards. Josh blocks Wormcoil with his scout and Marlon gains 7 life. Marlon then casts Commander Sphere. Turn 10. Josh starts his turn by casting Gilded Drake to steal Tristan's Psychosis Crawler, which means bad news for the guys. Even if Tristan gives it to someone else with Zedruu, Josh is still going to get it in the end. Tristan just lets the trade happen. Josh attacks Ronnie all out with his flies. Not wanting Josh to draw even more cards and lose everyone more life, Tristan gives Ronnie the Gilded Drake. Ronnie blocks the Fairy Imposter with the Drake. Ronnie takes 3 damage, Josh draws 3 cards, and Marlon, Ronnie and Tristan each lose 3 life. Josh casts Viridian Shaman, blowing up Marlon's Swiftfoot boots. Josh casts a Merfolk and Sower of Temptation to steal Marlon's commander. Josh has a formidable board state. On Tristan's turn, he gains 1 life from Zedruu and draws 1 extra card. He casts Illusions of Grandeur, but Josh counterspells it because he knew it was going to him. Tristan then casts Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite, and greatly reduces Josh's board, and slightly reducing Ronnie's for a turn or 2. Josh draws a card when his sprite dies, and the guys lose a life. Tristan equips Elish Norn and attacks Marlon for 4. Marlon blocks with a creature. Ronnie hides away with Mosswort Bridge on his turn, but his tokens don't untap. Ronnie puts 2 lands into play with Sky Shroud Claim. Ronnie then pays 2 mana and attacks Tristan for 2 with Gilded Drake after a Gavany activation. On Marlon's turn, he also attacks Tristan for 6 with Wormcoil Engine, dealing him 6 damage and gaining Marlon 6 life. Turn 11. Josh draws a card, loses everyone else to life. Josh casts a Dead Eternal Witness, returning Consecrated Sphinx. Josh then casts Consecrated Sphinx. On Tristan's upkeep, he stacks the Zedruu effect and then casts Path to Exile on the Sphinx in order to disrupt Josh's outrageous combo. Josh casts a Dead Plaxamanta but protects the Sphinx. Tristan gains 1 life and draws from Zedruu. Josh draws 2 cards and everyone else loses 2 life. Tristan draws for a turn and same thing again. Tristan goes to his main phase and still lacking on white mana, Tristan casts Coalition Relic. Unable to cast Angel of Serenity to deal with Ronnie's board, Tristan instead has to settle with Return to Dust. He exiles Marlon's Wormcoil Engine and Josh's Psychosis Crawler, but he shouldn't have since it still has Shroud from Plaxamanta, but no one catches this. Tristan then attacks Josh for 4 with Elish Norn. On Ronnie's turn, he casts Greater Good. He then goes to combat and wants to kill Tristan, but the propaganda is doing him wonders. Ronnie seizes the opportunity to remove Marlon from the game by attacking him with his warriors and Lovisa. He attacks Josh with the Drake and Hazezon. Before damage, Ronnie bolsters his creatures with Gavany Townships once again. Josh blocks the flyer with his fire and takes 5 Hazezon damage. Post-combat, Ronnie casts Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, and uses it to punch Josh's Sphinx, finishing it off. That was a productive turn. Turn 12. Josh starts his turn by dispersing Tristan's Lightning Greaves and then snaps Elish Norn back to hand. Josh then casts Thada Adel Acquisitor, Chasm Skulker, and Prophet of Crupfix. Tristan tries to recast Elish on his turn, but Josh is ready with Remand. Tristan casts Chromatic Lantern and recasts the Greaves and equips his commander. At the end of turn, Josh casts Tribute to the Wild. Tristan sacks Mindstone and, in response, Ronnie sacks a few creatures to Greater Good, and draws way more cards now that Elish Norn is gone. Ronnie finds his answers and then finds another when he wildly tutors at Tristan's end step, finding Iona, Shield of Emeria, and putting it on top. Ronnie also sacrifices Greater Good, since that is the only artifact or enchantment he has. Ronnie on his turn casts Dragon Lord Dramuka, ensuring no shenanigans. Ronnie then casts Terrasadon and blows up Tristan's propaganda, giving him a less useful 3/3 elephant. Holding Crater Hoof Behemoth, but not enough mana to cast it, Ronnie instead punches Prophet of Crupfix with Ugin, and then sends enough creatures at both Josh and Tristan to kill them, winning the game for Hazezon Tamar. For the recap, Josh was the quickest out of the gate and often had the most insane board states. He was a card or 2 from winning the game at several points of the way. His only downfall was that he failed to draw an extra turn spell the times he needed it. The time he did draw one, his board had just been wiped. He had lots of answers, but in the end it wasn't enough with everyone's targeting of Josh and Ronnie's beatdowns. Marlon and Tristan both had slow starts, and Tristan even had mana problems. He was definitely not donating as many permanents as his deck needs to in order to be effective. Ronnie's board state was left alone for enough of the game for him to come in and finish everyone off. Tristan's propaganda worked very well for him, but without backup it wasn't enough. We thank you for joining us for this game of Commander. Let us know what you thought and which decks you'd like to see more of, other than Zedruu of course. Thanks, and I don't know what you drew, but I know what Zed drew. Have a great week. Bye.